My man. Good to see you.
Everybody ready? Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here today. My name is Deborah Takahara, the Public Information Director for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. And we're here today to join the movement to change Colorado state law that limits what local law enforcement agencies can do when it comes to cooperating with federal law enforcement partners on immigration matters. I'd like to introduce our speakers today. We have Douglas County Sheriff Darren Weekley, Colorado State Senator Mark Baisley, Colorado State Representative Max Brooks, District Attorney George Brockler from the 23rd Judicial District, and former ICE Director John Fabricatori. Please let me introduce Sheriff Weekley.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. Again, my name is Darren Weekley, and I am the elected sheriff of Douglas County, and I stand in full support of Senate Bill 2547 and the enforcement of federal immigration laws. 2547 helps ensure that criminals in Colorado who are unlawfully in the United States are turned over, or at least their presence alerted, to federal immigration authorities. In Douglas County, we have countless examples of arresting people who are unlawfully in the United States, who have been arrested for criminal offenses in Douglas County, or they've been arrested for criminal warrants from other jurisdictions. If you go to our website, dcsheriff.net, you will see a breakdown of the demographics of our inmate population to include country of origin. As of this morning, I have 20 inmates that fall into this category. To be clear, I follow current Colorado law, and I do not hold people on ICE detainers, nor do I delay their release. Senate Bill 2547 eliminates some of the unnecessary barriers of local and federal law enforcement and our ability to communicate, and it helps minimize taxpayer dollars from being wasted on criminals who should otherwise be deported. If the legislature kills this bill, it solidifies the majority's stance on putting criminals, and they need to emphasize criminals who are illegally in the United States, before the safety of law-abiding citizens. And now, Senator Mark Baisley.
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Mark Baisley, State Senator, and I represent all the rural parts of Douglas County plus 7 other counties. So the United States Constitution guarantees to every state the domestic tranquility, so protections against domestic violence and also protections against invasion. And as we know, we have a new administration that is taking that seriously and has a new Tom Holman for who's already visited Colorado, and we're going to see more of them, I'm sure. But we've had in place laws since 2013 that have prevented law enforcement in Colorado from working with ICE and other federal agencies when they arrest someone for a crime that they suspect or have reason to believe is not in the country legally. So what this Senate Bill 47 will do will be to reverse that law and take the shackles off, so to speak, the law enforcement, and allow them to work with ICE, to turn them over to ICE when they know that they are here illegally in the country after they've committed a crime. And I think that's important to make note of, is that this is not a clean sweeping bill giving that permission nor encouraging it, but rather when they've already arrested someone for a crime and they suspect that they're here illegally in the country, then they're allowed to turn that over. So that's the purpose of the bill, and it's my pleasure to introduce co-sponsor of this bill, State Representative Max Brooks.
Thank you very much, Senator. My name is Max Brooks, and you are in my state representative district 45 right here. It is Castle Rock. It's a little bit of Pradera and South Pinery. I'm a freshman at the Colorado Legislature, and I'm proud to be a co-prime sponsor with Senator Baisley of Senate Bill 047. We have illegal migration problem in Colorado. A lot of it is due to the laws, the legislation that has been passed previously, that basically designate Colorado as a sanctuary state. Senate Bill 047 reverses that, and it allows law enforcement to do what we want, what we expect law enforcement to do, and that is to do their jobs, to ensure public safety. This is not in any way a partisan bill. It is just very simply a common sense bill. We want law enforcement to go about their jobs the way we expect them to, especially in Douglas County, but for all of Colorado. Protect all of Colorado, protect every legal resident of Colorado. We're not hunting for anybody that is here trying to make a good life for themselves. You know, what we are hunting for is to remove the laws that shield illegal migrants and basically allow criminals to go about their criminal enterprises unchecked. This will repeal that. This ensures that everybody will be held accountable. This ensures that everybody is playing by the same rules. Again, I want to stress that this is not bipartisan. As a matter of fact, I'm very happy to welcome in Governor Jared Polis and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston to the team. They have recently said that it is very important to them to deport violent, illegal criminals. It's a stance that Colorado Republicans have long held. So welcome to the team. Welcome to Team Common Sense of putting Coloradans first. I am very, very proud to be able to introduce our next speaker because he's certainly not new to you, but new in his role here to ensure that we're doing everything that we can to uphold the rule of law right here in the brand new Judicial District 23, District Attorney George Brockwell.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming out for this. Listen, I'm in the business of justice and the rule of law and public safety. And this bill, this Senate Bill 47, goes a ways, not far enough, but a ways towards allowing us to continue to do that from right here in the 23rd. I want to remind you that this bill is being sponsored by two other folks from Douglas County that call Douglas County home. Once again, Douglas County leading the way for the state and trying to make sure that, frankly, all of Colorado is a safer place that adheres to the rule of law. When I look at what Colorado has done to become a sanctuary state, and that's not a debatable point anymore, when you have turned a courthouse into a place that coming or going or here, you can make sure that federal ICE officials do not have the ability to try to take you into custody to answer for your being here illegally. You've created a sanctuary state. When you have reduced all of your misdemeanor charges down to a very immigrant-friendly 364 days, so there isn't an automatic deportation from those convictions, you've created a sanctuary state. These are steps to slowly start to reverse that. This bill does not mandate anything. This bill only removes barriers between local law enforcement and our federal partners. And for those who doubt why that's important, ask yourselves, what other federal law enforcement agency like ICE do we have laws to thwart their cooperation? Can you imagine a state statute that says that law enforcement can't cooperate fully with the FBI or DEA or the ATF? We would say, what are you talking about? But when it comes to ICE, there is a party and a group of people who feel like those laws shouldn't be enforced. And listen, this isn't about whether the federal immigration law is good or bad, effective or ineffective. Don't like the law, there's a way to change it. It's called Congress. But until it's changed, it is the law of the land. And what that law provides us here locally, the ability to do, is to take those folks who are here illegally that commit crimes against each other and against members of this community and get them out of this community. And that's my goal. Every single day, we have illegal immigrants gobbling up the limited resources of this courthouse. Every single day. Very first jury trial we ever had here was an illegal immigrant from Venezuela who was engaged in organized retail theft. If we remove those problems, those resources get to be used on other folks here and other victims here. This is a first needed step, and I'm in full support of it, and I hope there's a bunch more after this. My concern is this thing is going to die an unceremonious death on a party line vote, and that should be offensive to Coloradans. It's my pleasure to introduce the ex or former director of retired, older ICE director from out here, John Fabricatore. And before he comes up, and he knows I need to tell you this, Fabricatore, for those of you that don't know, is Italian for soft hands. And it's I don't know if that's true. I've been saying that all over the country. It feels like it's true. It's my pleasure to introduce John Fabricatore.
Thanks, Dave Rock.
You really are soft.
So I'm the retired ICE director, and the reason why I'm here is I've been in Colorado since 1998 enforcing immigration law before I retired in 2022. Before most of these sanctuary laws occurred and after these sanctuary laws occurred. This bill helps the citizens of this state, the legal residents of this state, and the United States citizens. Sanctuary law does not protect our citizens. It protects criminal illegal aliens. And this bill will ensure that we have the cooperation between local law enforcement and federal law enforcement that is needed to keep communities safe. And that's what this is about at the end of the day. The monies that our taxpayers are spending and going back into our law enforcement community should be spent on keeping us safe. And that's what this bill does. Thank you.
So we'll open it up for questions. I would like to repeat them for our online viewers, and then I'll direct them to whoever you would like. Greg?
Question for the sheriff. Can you give us an example of encountering an illegal immigrant who allegedly has committed a crime, and how it kind of ties your hands down in terms of doing what steps need to take place next?
So an illegal immigrant example that has committed a crime and what steps to take place?
Under current law,
Under
how does
current
that
law, how that
keep your hands tied in terms of doing what needs to
Tie
be
your
done
hands.
next in your eyes?
I don't have a specific case for you, but there are many. So if we have somebody who's in this country illegally, they are picked up for any crime, any misdemeanor or felony, and they are in this country illegally, they have an ICE detainer on them, and they are able to post bond or granted a PR bond by the judge, I cannot hold them, period. And so having this in place would help streamline that dialogue or that communication with ICE. But this is occurring in jails across Colorado on a daily basis.
Can I say something about that too? Yeah. Real quickly. This is what we see in courts. This is the great hypocrisy that's been created by the state legislature. You have someone that America, the government, has said, you should not be here in the United States. And yet when they commit a crime and they go to court and they get sentenced, the court sentences them to probation, which is an order for them to stay here so that they can serve out their probationary sentence. And then the legislature came in and said, but by the way, probation, you're not allowed to tell ICE about these convicted criminal illegal aliens. It is an incredible hypocrisy that gobbles up our resources on a daily basis.
No?
Hi, so question for maybe perhaps a senator or a state rep. What makes you guys think that this is going to pass this time around? And what separates this time maybe from other attempts to flip this bill?
Senator, what makes you think that this will pass this time?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I ran this bill last year and did not make it out of the House committee. So it was State Representative Richard Holtorf that introduced it and asked me to be the prime sponsor in the Senate. So I did, knowing that it was likely going to fail last year, which it did. And then I was kind of moved on with my life, except that Sheriff Jason Mikesell of Teller County, my home county, he asked me for lunch and said, you got to run that bill again. And I said, it failed so miserably last time, why would it pass this time? And he said, because Aurora happened. So the awareness of the public that we have Venezuelan gang activity in a really big way, in an arrogant way, in a way that where they behave in a way that they think that they're probably not going to suffer any consequences for their activities. On camera, we've all seen it. So that's why it was worth bringing it forward again. So we did. I was happy to carry that, and I appreciate that Representative Brooks was willing to sign up to be the House rep, along with Chris Richardson in the House as well, from Elbert County. But to answer your question more directly, it does not have a good chance of passing this time. So What makes me think that it has the chance, however, is this is the third press conference that a sheriff has held. First in Teller County, then in El Paso County, as you know, I believe you were there, and then now in Douglas County. So the awareness of the public is rising quite a bit, and the sheriffs are going to show up. You're going to have a lot of blue uniforms as witnesses when we hear it on the 25th. I'm going to ask that we perhaps get assigned to a different committee because it's currently assigned to what we call the Kill Committee, and so it does not stand a good chance. But I hope that that the majority party and the leadership of the majority party will see a reason and give it a better opportunity, because this is what the people of the state of Colorado want in their majority.
If I may just add to that a little bit, of course, I gave a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek example of welcoming in Governor Polis and Mayor Mike Johnson to Team Republicans, you know, and being on the same page with us. But in all honesty, it was not part of Governor Polis' State of the State, but he had made the remarks immediately afterwards that he recognized the need to deport violent criminals, right, illegal criminals. And Denver Mayor Mike Johnson echoed that as well. That has not happened in the past. And so I'm very hopeful that because of their stance that they have taken publicly in admitting that this is a big problem and admitting that this is something that we need to address, that perhaps that will influence some of the Democrat colleagues throughout legislature to say, okay, you know what, maybe we need to be taking a look at it this time. Because it truly is not a bipartisan issue. This is a way of being able to lead forward bipartisan leadership for every Coloradan resident.
Question for the state lawmakers and also for the sheriff. So it's my understanding that nothing under state law prohibits currently communication between sheriff's offices and ICE, but of course state law does make it so that local law enforcement can't hold an immigrant inmate past the release date solely on the basis of an ICE detainer. And yet the bill you're talking about as a reversal doesn't address the honoring detainer aspect. So I was curious as to why that was omitted, or if we're expecting to see that detainer aspect maybe in other proposed legislation down the pipeline.
So the question is about the ICE detainer being addressed in this particular bill.
I think it'd be best if you address the restrictions. Okay. And I'll try to follow up with my answer.
Different law enforcement agencies, whether it's sheriff's office or any municipality that has a jail, there's different views on that. I am one of the few sheriffs that will actually contact ICE if we believe that somebody is in this country illegally. Due to, and I have a stack of them here, these are all the different laws that are on the books that make Colorado a sanctuary state. There's differences of opinion on our ability to communicate with ICE. And so this law helps, points us in the right direction and to chip away at the iceberg, as it were, to allow law enforcement to communicate. But there's so many laws on the books now about this immigration issue, it's very convoluted. This puts us in the right direction.
Thank you, Sheriff. And you know, when we met earlier today in the conference room with the sheriff, he laid out multiple bills, laws over several years, just showing the complexities of where they have to tiptoe around the patchwork of laws to try to make sure that they are in keeping with local Colorado and federal laws. So let me just read one paragraph, a specific and pointed paragraph in this bill that is attempting to cover those up and set those aside and release them to act in the way that they know that they need to do. It says a local government, whether acting through its governing body or by initiative, referendum, or any other process, a local government may not enact an ordinance or policy that limits or prohibits a peace officer, local officer, or local government employee from communicating or cooperating with federal officials with regard to the immigration status of a person within the state. We're hoping that that is the blanket permission that will supersede all those other laws that are patchwork together that they're trying to tiptoe around all the time.
Sure, hoping that will now allow local law enforcement agencies to be able to hold an immigrant inmate past their expected release date if they received an ICE detainer and that alone?
Well, yes, but the next wording, a peace officer who has probable cause to believe that an arrestee for a criminal offense is not legally present in the United States may report the arrestee to the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office if the arrestee is not held at the detention facility. But if the arrestee is held at a detention facility and the county sheriff reasonably believes that the arrestee is not legally present in the United States, the sheriff may report the arrestee to the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office. So sorry to get all wonky here, but those are the specific words that are trying to give that permission to the arresting officer, to the sheriffs and police officers, so that they can communicate with ICE when they have someone who has committed a crime.
And question, if I may, for the sheriff, are you expecting to enter into a 287G agreement with the new administration, and if so, which program within that agreement?
That's to be determined. I don't want to get sued. So if we were to enter into an agreement, I would consult with our county attorney's office and make sure that we are on solid legal footing. I'm not going to be irresponsible with taxpayer dollars and risk a lawsuit. So if we do have the legal ability to do that, yes, I would do that, but not until I confer with legal counsel.
Question for the sheriff, lawmakers. What is considered probable cause when determining whether an immigrant is here illegally?
So the question is, what is considered probable cause when determining if a person is here illegally?
I can answer that.
Yeah, please.
So probable cause if on the arrest of an illegal alien is what's their status? So how they entered the country, whether they entered on a visa, whether they made a legal entry, what their current status is in the United States. If they entered the country illegally, it would be through 212. If they entered the country under a visa, it would be under another statute. So that probable cause is determined by ICE. And most of that is already in computer systems that the sheriff has the ability to look at. Through interoperability with the FBI, if someone's been encountered by the Border Patrol, it's in NCIC. When you pull that record up, there is a record that's in there, an IAQ, that alerts the sheriff's department on what the status of that immigrant would be. And then that can go back through what's called the Law Enforcement Support Center, which is run by ICE, and those can communicate together with the sheriff's department to allow them to know what the status of that person is. If the sheriff's department does not have a 287G program in which their officers are trained by ICE to determine alienage, that can be determined through the Law Enforcement Support Center and the sheriff's department throughout.
Anyone else?
I was just curious, and whoever would like to answer, is there anything you've seen since President Trump has taken office in places like Aurora and Adams County in terms of enforcement up there, that just any overall observations on the process when it comes to taking folks in via ICE or other federal agencies? Anything you've learned, observed, anything that piques your interest in terms of what's been done up there?
The question is, have we noticed anything since Trump has taken office, President Trump has taken office, about ICE immigration
In Adams
in
and
Adams
Aurora,
County?
some of the enforcement's taking place up there.
This is my opinion. The federal government and ICE realize the hurdles that are in place for Colorado law enforcement. The reason that you're seeing these roundups by ICE officials in those areas, they're trying to keep local law enforcement out of this because they understand that it's problematic for us to assist them. You saw a couple weeks ago that I assisted the DEA up north in a raid that they did because there was a criminal nexus with DEA because they had an actual active criminal investigation and a criminal search warrant for that. That enabled us to partake and assist in that operation. If we don't have that criminal nexus, then we can't. The operations that you're seeing around the state of Colorado, they are not involving local law enforcement because of that very reason. It would be safer for us to be involved in those operations. It would be safer for those communities if they could involve local law enforcement for the safety of the individuals involved in that operation. Right now, we don't have the ability to do that, and that's a shame because it puts everyone at risk. It puts the people at risk that they're going after, it puts those law enforcement officers at risk, and it puts those neighborhoods at risk because they need more support during those operations.
Anyone else? All Thank you so much for coming. The first hearing is on February 25th. All right. Thank you so much.